Well, Obama's side of that story is he wasn't sure what was going on, but he just wanted to get out of there, and he wasn't going to get out of there without Biden, so he grabbed him, and it was more just his impatience than anything else. People in the arena who did not see the horrifying scene behind the stage, but in the arena, Congresswoman Annie Kuster, Jon Favreau, former Obama chief speechwriter, and others, just from that event and Biden walking towards the edge of the stage, thought, oh, my God, something is wrong here. He's not going to make it.
CNN anchor Jake Tapper revealing new details from his upcoming book about a notorious fundraiser where Obama dragging Biden off of the stage. So that's why this has come back to relevance today, because now the author of the book taking a little bit behind the scenes of what was going on, or at least what was told to him. Tapper saying attendees were concerned Biden was not in good shape mentally.
This despite the fact that at the time, Biden surrogates insisted the now former president was perfectly fine. It was just those cheap fakes that only Republicans were showing you. And it comes after Jake Tapper himself had previously challenged Laura Trump on the airwaves when she suggested that President Biden appeared to have some cognitive problems. Let's talk about it now with Bill D'Agostino, an MRC research analyst, and Curtis Houck, managing editor at Newsbusters. Gentlemen, welcome, and thanks for coming on. This press tour is off to a rough start for Jake Tapper. Curtis, can you tell us what's going on with this big book that he's trying to showcase here and almost rewrite history?
Yeah, exactly, Emma. This is rewriting history. So we have that anecdote, and we also have the revelation from earlier in the week talking about aides speculating that Biden might need a wheelchair if he were to win re-election, because efforts to try to get him to change his gait weren't going very well, and they were afraid about more falls and stumbles. There's two things going on here. One possibility is incompetence. And, you folks know, you've been both been in the business a long time. Journalism is so much about observations, what you viscerally sense and what you see, using your senses to be able to describe what is going on. So that's obviously a failure there, because what was happening with Joe Biden, unlike with other presidents, health ailments, some of those were indiscretions, they were happening behind closed doors. Or it's gross corruption, a generational defining level of corruption. Either way, it's not good.
Yeah, and Bill, on that point, you think back to that time, and I think we have that soundbite of Jimmy Kimmel where he actually addressed that moment when, again, everyone watched, everyone saw. It was clear that there was an issue in that moment. But Jimmy Kimmel, who was the host of it, said there's nothing to see. Watch.
There's a clip of Joe Biden going around today, and they say he froze and had to be escorted off stage on Saturday night. I was standing right next to him when it happened. He didn't freeze. He was just listening to the people calling him in the front row.
And Bill, in that moment, and again, unless you watch programs like ours who continue to highlight it, because it was so apparent every time President Biden was in front of a camera that there were major issues, but it was almost as if legacy media and those within it made you feel dumb if you thought differently than they did.
Oh, absolutely. They were completely gaslighting. I mean, I heard you bring up the idea of cheap fakes a few minutes ago. That was where that term came from, was this news cycle, right? The White House ran out with the term, but the media repeated it constantly, dutifully, like lapdogs, because they were completely focused on protecting Biden's image, his flagging mental health, as they'd been concealing it for the past 4 years, right? And it's this wheelchair revelation, just for example, is not really anything new, because the entire nation already saw the White House have to change the steps that Biden went up to get onto Air Force One a couple of years before that. They already saw Biden basically trip over the air at the Air Force Academy on stage. They already saw clips of him standing in the corner just facing a curtain, seemingly talking to nobody at a White House event, right? So the fact that an aide at one point said, oh, maybe we should get a wheelchair in Tapper's book doesn't really move the ball at all, right? I mean, what about all of the things that were already in plain sight for the entire duration of his presidency and even before then that the media, including Jake Tapper, helped deny and cover up?
I was going to say, he could have had the scoop way earlier had he actually just reported what we were covering at the time and sharing with our Newsmax viewers.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.